The first time Emily saw him, he was standing outside her small roadside cafe on the edge of town, drenched in late autumn rain, his dark hair clinging to his forehead and a faded backpack slung over one shoulder. He looked like every other lost traveler who passed through their quiet little street, tired, unsure, and counting the few dollars left in his pocket. Emily had grown up in that town, a place where everyone knew each other and strangers were rare enough to spark curiosity. She noticed him hesitate before stepping inside, glancing at the menu taped to the window as if calculating whether he could afford even the cheapest coffee. Something about the way he stood there, pride mixed with quiet embarrassment, touched her heart. When he finally entered, he offered a polite smile and asked for the least expensive item on the menu. His voice carried a subtle American accent, soft but steady. He introduced himself as Daniel, a traveler exploring small towns across the country. Emily served him a hot cup of coffee and a slice of leftover pie, telling him it was on the house because it would have gone to waste anyway. She pretended not to notice the relief in his eyes. Over the next few days, Daniel kept coming back. He never ordered much, just coffee or soup, but he always stayed for hours, scribbling in a small leather notebook. Emily learned he was traveling alone, taking a break from life, trying to figure things out. He never complained, never asked for help, and always insisted on paying what little he could. The townspeople whispered about him, assuming he was just another broke backpacker drifting from place to place. Some were kind, others were skeptical. But Emily saw something different. She noticed how he listened carefully when she spoke about her dreams of expanding the cafe, how he asked thoughtful questions about her late father who had built the place from scratch. Daniel never looked at his phone much, never boasted, never tried to impress anyone. He simply existed, quiet, observant, and strangely comforting. One evening, when a sudden storm flooded the streets and the power went out, Daniel stayed behind to help Emily stack chairs and light candles. They sat by the window, watching rain race down the glass, talking about life as if they had known each other for years. He told her about traveling across states, sleeping in budget motels, and learning from strangers' stories. She shared her fear of never leaving the town, of being stuck in the same routine forever. When she laughed at herself for dreaming too big, Daniel looked at her with an intensity that made her heart skip. "You're not meant to stay small," he said softly. "Some people just need the right moment to rise." That night, when he walked back to the cheap motel down the road, Emily felt an unfamiliar ache in her chest. Weeks passed, and their connection deepened. They walked along the quiet countryside, shared cheap takeout meals, and talked about everything from childhood memories to future hopes. Yet Daniel never revealed much about his past beyond vague statements. Whenever she asked about his family or what he did before traveling, he would smile and say, "It's complicated." Emily assumed it meant hardship, maybe debt, maybe heartbreak. She didn't press further. She had grown fond of him not because of what he had, but because of how he made her feel, seen, valued, understood. Then one morning, he was gone. No goodbye, no explanation. The motel owner said he checked out before sunrise. Emily found only a folded note on her cafe counter, "Thank you for reminding me who I am." Her heart shattered. She felt foolish for believing a traveler would stay. For weeks, she replayed every conversation in her mind, wondering if she had imagined the connection. The town returned to its usual rhythm, but something inside her had changed. She threw herself into work, trying to forget the men with the worn backpack and gentle eyes. 3 months later, on a bright Saturday afternoon, the sound of an engine unlike any other echoed down the small street. People stepped out of shops, shielding their eyes from the sun to see a sleek black limousine pulling up in front of Emily's cafe. Children pointed. Neighbors whispered. The driver stepped out first, opening the back door with crisp precision. And then Daniel emerged, no worn backpack, no faded clothes. He wore a tailored navy suit, polished shoes, and confidence that commanded attention. Emily froze behind the counter, convinced she was imagining things. He walked toward the cafe, every step deliberate, every gaze in town fixed on him. When he entered, silence followed. Emily's hands trembled. "Daniel," she whispered. He smiled, the same warm smile she remembered. "I told you it was complicated," he said gently. He explained that he wasn't a broke traveler at all. He was the heir to a multi-million-dollar family business, traveling incognito across the country to understand real people beyond boardrooms and luxury offices. He wanted to rediscover humility, purpose, and perspective before officially taking over the company. He had hidden his identity because he wanted genuine connections, not ones influenced by wealth. "And you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "you treated me with kindness when you thought I had nothing." He confessed that leaving had been the hardest decision of his life. He needed to resolve unfinished responsibilities, to prove to himself that what he felt for her wasn't just a fleeting escape from reality. But every city he visited afterward felt empty. Every fancy hotel room felt colder than that tiny motel near her cafe. "Money can buy comfort," he said, stepping closer, "but it can't buy the way you looked at me when the lights went out during the storm." He had returned not to impress her with wealth, but to show her he was serious, to offer her a life where her dreams wouldn't stay trapped in a small town. The entire cafe watched in stunned silence as he took her hands. "Emily, I don't want you to think I'm here because I can afford you. I'm here because I can't afford to lose you." Tears filled her eyes. She realized that the man she fell for wasn't defined by the backpack or the limousine, it was his heart, his humility, his belief in her. The town that once whispered now witnessed something rare, a confession not powered by riches, but by sincerity. Emily stepped around the counter, her voice shaking but sure. "I never cared about your money," she said. "I cared about the men who helped me light candles in the dark." And in that moment, she chose him, not the limousine, not the status, but the soul she had seen long before anyone else did. As they walked out together, sunlight reflecting off polished metal and hopeful eyes, the townspeople realized something powerful. Sometimes the greatest treasures arrive disguised as nothing at all. Daniel had learned that authenticity attracts true love. Emily had learned that kindness never goes unnoticed. And both discovered that real wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the courage to be vulnerable. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that true love looks beyond appearances, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional stories that inspire, uplift, and prove that destiny often arrives when you least expect it.